Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, Do Not Underestimate the Ego's Thought System. And also at the end of this video, I have a gift for you. Now, before going on with today's topic, I'd like to share something this is something I've done in my Spanish channel for years. And because this is the first year that I do the English channels, I share this with you. And it's that if you feel that these videos are supporting you, that's the most important thing. If you're deriving an actual benefit from it, and you would like to do a donation, financial donation, well, there's only 2 days in the year that I just bring this up, and it's in my birthday, which is today, September 15th, and in Christmas, the 25th of December. Only those 2 days I said that if you feel any benefit from these videos and would like to do a donation, take me to dinner, for example, Well, all the information is in the description below, or you can go to my website, nicarandes.com. Now, having said that, let's get to today's topic. This has to do with a comment that somebody shared in one of the videos, and the comment is, "Great question. Are you ready for true peace of mind?" Am I? Said the person. He said, or she said, I don't know, says, "I find my ego saying peace of mind is boring. But I know I am evolving. I am making decisions differently and working towards what I know is right for me and letting the ego let go." Thank you. Okay, here's where there's a trick that maybe this might not apply to this person, but just in case, I like to always bring it up. When I hear, for example, I find my ego saying peace of mind is boring, I can understand that that is a thought that is appearing in the mind. But there's still a sense of identity of a me that seems to have an ego. And I see that a lot. That's why I try to stay away from the word ego, because the tendency is to think I have an ego, or my ego is kind of looking for someone or something to, blame or for whatever may be happening to me. But you have to remember that the ego, which is just a thought, the thought of separation, is the thought I am individual. That's what the ego is referred to in these videos. So you don't have an ego. The fact that you believe that you are you is what is referred to here as ego, which is the limitation of totality. What you are in essence is what is, which has no ego, which is the ever-present, all-experiencing, all that there is, which have nothing to do with your sense of identity. And when I hear language like, or people saying, I find my ego saying peace of mind is boring, there's still a sense of a me, you see, that suggests that my ego is saying that it is boring. But then it continues, but I know I am evolving. That's a trap. You see, you don't have to evolve because you already are. We just need to see how the thoughts are coming up that are trying to hold on to a sense of identity. You see, that's what right now you are, okay? So I could ask you, where do you need to go, or how do you need to evolve in order to be what you already are? Do you see the trap here? This is getting the mind out of the way. This here, on the other hand, still the conceptual mind with a sense of identity, suggesting that I'm evolving. No, you're not evolving. You simply are. But there's a thought that says that you think you are this you, and this you is the one that can make the comment and suggest that my ego, and also says that I am evolving. You see? And then it keeps reinforced when it says, I am making decisions differently and working towards what I know is right for me and letting go of the ego. You see? It keeps holding on to the sense of identity as if you are the one making decisions. I'm not making decisions. Decisions seems to be made through this instrument. We're pointing to the fact that I am not the instrument, I am. In other words, you are prior an instrument. You are prior this sense of identity. You are prior any thought that suggests the ego has to be let go, or even the ego says that peace is boring. You see, what you are is prior to all that, and that needs no letting go of ego, that needs no evolving. You see, this is the trap of suggesting that when I let go of the ego, what's going to happen? That's why I usually ask people, what do you think is going to happen when you awaken or become enlightened, or whatever terms or content or words the mind has conjured up to believe that there's something has to be achieved? You see, when the mind begins to conjure up all these kinds of, okay, when I awaken I'm going to be like blah blah blah, or when I become enlightened I am going to be or feel, or the world will be, or whatever ideas the mind conjures up are completely irrelevant. Right now, right this moment, in spite of a thought that may suggest this is boring or this is exciting, in spite of whatever thoughts seem to appear, right now you simply are, and that is a fact. You cannot negate the fact that you are. The problem is that you're thinking from the conceptual mind, I am this seeming individual, and this is not the I am this is pointing to. We're pointing to the fact that I am. Right now you cannot negate the fact that you are. That is a fact. That's what it is. It's pure existence. You see, there's no ego, there's nothing, there's just what is. Until the thought I individual, that would be the ego. You see, and that thought is the one that now overlap with other thoughts like, my ego says that if I choose peace, this is boring. Or my ego says, or I am evolving, I know that I'm making better decisions. You see, there's still a sense of identity that is trying to claim ownership, you see, protagonism on whatever decisions are being made. Life is, when I always say, if you don't identify with any thoughts, even the thought that suggests that this is boring, you see, if you don't identify with any thoughts, what remains? And I'm not asking a question in order to receive an answer, because that would be the ego saying, or the sense of identity saying, I feel this way or whatever. No, no, no. Right now, if there's no identification with any thoughts, they will be there. That's what they do. So that's fine. Let them be there. But if you don't believe them, if there's no, and here's the trap. You see, I say, if you don't believe them and there's still the sense of I am believing the thoughts. No, I am doing the best I can with the limitation of language. Right now, just don't even think about you are listening to me. I'm just simply pointing. Right now, if there's no identification with any thought, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the thought may suggest. If there's no identification, if there's no belief in any thoughts, because only thoughts are the ones that suggest that you are this you who think you are, you see? If there's no identification with any thoughts, what remains? You see? We see what remains is what is, what have always been, and what will always be. And that's it. That's atemporal, I guess. It's eternal, never changes. Now let me ask you this. In this I amness, in this I am, is this I am presence needs to evolve? No, right? Is this I am presence need to let go of an ego? No. Is this I am presence has any thoughts that suggest this is boring? The I am presence, not the thought that seems to appear on top of it. I'm talking about the I am presence. Right now, just being. Sounds occur or seems to happen. Scene seems to happen. Thoughts seems to appear. But I am. You see? Does this I am has to achieve something? Has to become better? Has to evolve? Has to change? No, this is just I am. This is pure existence. And in pure existence, there will be pain and there will be pleasure. Within the context of the illusion, pure existence doesn't experience anything. The space does not experience anything. It's not affected by anything. The space is the space-like. It's where everything seems to appear and manifest. But it's not affected by what seems to be happening on the surface. Thoughts are what happens on the surface. Sensations are what happens on the surface. Feelings, experiences, all of that happens on the surface, but that does not affect the fact that I am. You see? This is it. This is where this is all pointing to. When I said, for example, do you really want peace of mind? In a way, what I'm saying is, do you really want to let go of this sense of identity? That's really what I'm saying. It's not that you want peace of mind. You see, that's when the person says over here, great question. Are you ready for peace of mind? And it says, am I? Yeah, but who's that am I? Okay, let's begin to question. Who is that am I? Do I want peace of mind? Who's that one who's saying, do I want peace of mind? And that is the same one that now says, I find my ego saying peace of mind is boring. You see, that one is playing two roles. He's playing the role of, am I really want peace of mind? And then he plays the role of, but I'm working on it. Do you see the trap? You see? But right now, there's no one, there's nothing, there's no thing that suggests that, do I really want peace of mind? But my ego is saying this, but I'm working on it. No, there's none of that. All that there is what is. Right now, can you negate the fact that you are? This is pure beingness. The mind cannot conceive of the possibility that this is so obvious and so simple because his mind is used to complexity. No, I have to work for years to become what I am. You see, this is how the mind operates. You see? But what we're saying here is that there is no mind, because mind is a thought. All that there is what is. This is the isness. This is the essence. This is what is. No forward, no backwards, no future, no past, nothing. Just simply is. And once again, because there's such a strong identification with the thought, with the individual, and on top of that, with all the concepts that we have. If I feel that I'm evolving, I'm going to feel in a particular way. I don't know what that is. Some may say that it's going to be a joyful, that it'll never changes, or whatever. It's going to be I don't know, whatever idea the mind has conjured up, you see. The truth is the joy that you are, the peace, the happiness that you are, that never changes. What happens is the mind associates happiness with pleasure, joy with some kind of a sensation. And this is when it gets lost. Because if that sensation is not there, that means that I'm not joyful. If the pleasure is not there, that means that I'm not happy. No, you are happy because you are, but happiness is not an experience. Happiness is the ever-present, all-experiencing, all-encompassing isness. Within all there is, which is the peace that surpasses all understanding, that's what I refer to as happiness. In the surface, pleasure may appear and pain may appear. But pleasure and pain are not a distraction to what I am. You see? And if that is not being seen, it's not investigated, not questioned, then the mind is going to conjure up an idea of what will happen in the future when I let go of the ego. You see? But letting go of the ego is simply not believing the thoughts. Ramana Maharshi had an ego. Nisargadatta Maharaj had an ego. Jesus had an ego. Buddha had an ego. But the ego is basically the appearance of a body. That's what the ego is. The difference between them and, let's say, us, for example, is that they still appear as a body within the context of the illusion, of course, but they were not identified with the thought system. So the body seems to be there, communication seems to appear, but they were not identified with any thoughts that crosses the mind. Therefore, they have no ego, in a sense that they were not identified with the ego's thought system. They can see them as clouds. Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say, you and I mean, I see the same things that you see. The difference is that, I see it as a passing show and you move with it. You see? One thing is a thought that is passing and not believed in, and another thing is a thought passing and then we attach, the mind engage with the thoughts and stay with the thoughts, and then the thoughts kind of drags you all along. You see? So right now, you simply are. You see? Call it Arandes, isness. This is it. Don't hang on to any ideas of how you're supposed to feel like or be like. Just life is happening or seems to be happening as it's unfolding. It's it. But you remain as the space in which everything seems to appear and disappear, but you're unperturbed by it. Yeah, the thoughts will be there and they will be used for practical purposes, but they're no longer, there's not a psychological effect on you. And when this is recognized, you see how life continues to unfold as it always will. The difference is that you're not affected by the content of the mind, and within this context where you still appear as an individual, but there's no identification with the individual psychological thought system. As life unfolds, you simply are, and you see you don't need to evolve. Nothing has to change. You don't need to achieve anything. You don't need to experience anything special. You simply see how life is unfolding with its pains and its pleasures, but you remain as what you are, which is what the invitation to these videos are. Right now, there's nothing to do, just simply be. What there is to do in order for you to be what you already are. I've heard somebody once says, if you're in the North Pole, whatever step you take is going to take you away from the North Pole. You already are in the North Pole. You are the North Pole. You are. You remain right now. Again, this is not esoteric. This is not a future thing. This is not abstract. This is very practical. Right now. Right this moment. I'm inviting you to notice what is, what its presence. If there's no identification with any thoughts, if you don't believe any of the thoughts, they'll be there, that's fine. But right now, when there's no identification with any thoughts, notice what remains. And you see the mind is still saying, notice what remains, so I will notice what remains. No, there's no you noticing anything because there is no you. But again, this is the limitation of language within the appearance of a me sharing something with a seeming you, but in reality there's no me, there's no you, all that there is what is. And this isness does not have to evolve. This isness is not going to let go of the ego in the future, and this isness does not believe the thought that suggests that my ego say this is boring. It's just experiencing. That's it. That's why in Zen we used to say, before enlightenment chop wood carry water, after enlightenment chop wood carry water. I could not understand it back then because I was still identified with a sense of identity that thought that before enlightenment something is going to be, I don't know, I'll feel the whatever, and after enlightenment something different is going to happen. And in reality, there's no before enlightenment and after enlightenment. It's just that the language that is being used, it's simply what is. I don't say that before I awaken and now that I wake. I don't bother with that because I am. It has nothing to do with before and after, because there's no before and after. All that there is what is. If there's no belief in the content of the mind, this is it. This is where this is all pointing to. That's all. I remember another story of a student, I guess, or a disciple who goes to the teacher. I've said this before, and the disciple says, "Teacher, my mind is driving me crazy. Please pacify it." And the teacher says, "Okay, that's fine. I'll be happy to do so. Just go find the mind. Once you find the mind, bring it over. I'll pacify it." See, I didn't understand those things back then, but now it makes perfect sense. What he's saying, try to find the mind. And you realize that you can never find the mind because the mind doesn't exist. Thoughts appear, but thoughts simply appear. A mind is a thought itself. You simply are. Do you see? You will never find the mind. Yeah, you could find a brain. A brain is also an appearance in all that there is, just like the body is an appearance. You can find the brain because it's a little muscle, you label it a brain, but can you find the mind? You see? You cannot find the mind. Mind is thought, and that thought is what is used to give birth to the thoughts that seems to judge and everything. Without the mind, there will be no other thoughts, but because there's a thought called mind, that thought is what conjures up the belief of an identity. My mind, and this is who I am. But we don't have to go there. This is very simple. We don't have to get caught up into that. Just let's go to the basics. You say my mind, okay, then you suggest that there's a you and there's a mind. I have a mind. Well, find it. Find that mind. Find that mind and find the one that is making up all the thoughts. Find it. Once you find it, bring it over and then we'll look at it. And you'll see that thoughts simply appear and they disappear. It's just that we're so used to giving power to the thoughts. You see, we're so used to identify with them that it seems as if, oh my God, now I want to control them, especially when they get out of hand because of the conditioning. We want to control the negative thoughts, you see, you want to let go of those, but not the positive ones. Oh no, these ones, I want to hang on to them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having positive thoughts. I'm suggesting that don't hang on to none of them. You see? If you don't hang on to the positive or the negative, by not labeling positive or negative, just seeing as passing clouds, life unfolds and you remain as that which in all these thoughts seems to appear and disappear. And that's how you experience what is referred to as the peace that surpasses all understanding, also known as happiness. In spite of what thoughts may be appearing, in spite of what sensations may be appearing, in spite of what circumstances may be appearing. And that does not evolve. That has no ego. That simply is. And this is where this is pointing to the fact that you are. It's just the mind says, yeah, but I have to feel differently. No, you don't have to feel differently. Just knowing. It's just the capacity of the fact that life is. You see? That's why we have to let go of all these concepts that we have of how am I going to feel if I become enlightened? How am I going to feel if I awaken? How am I going to feel? But who's this I who claimed that is going to feel? This is what is overlooked. There's no I, so there's no need to feel in any particular way. Feelings will appear, sensations will appear, thoughts will appear, circumstances will appear, but I am. And this is where this is the invitation. That's what I'm inviting you to. I am. Right now, can you say you're not? And you see how the mind says, okay, I think I'm not. That's still the mind trying to somehow understand what is not, what is beyond itself. You cannot negate the fact that you are. You are life. Life itself. Life is life. Just the essence, the pure essence of it. With all its colors and textures and everything and all that seems to appear and disappear, but you are. And you are before the appearance of that seeming you, which is a construct from the mind. And you are while this seeming you appears to be here, and you are after this seeming you seems to disappear, because you simply are. This is what these videos are pointing to. You see, this is not personal. This is not for you to understand. You're not going to get it. Nobody's going to get it. But when this settles in, it's like, oh my God, this is so obvious. He's been staring at me. He's being myself. I believe, was it San Francis of Assisi or St. Augustine? I don't know which one, but one of those used to say, maybe none of them, I don't know. He says, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. You see? You're looking from that which you seem is apart from you, And now you're looking for that. It's kind of, you're looking for yourself. That's what he says, that the seeker is the sought. You see? The eye cannot see itself. You see? And you are. This is it. This is it. This is it. Just let go of all the ideas of how you think you should be or how do you think you should feel, because there's a you who thinks should feel in a particular way. There's a you who think that should feel in a particular way. And that's you is the obstacle. Does that mean that when this recognition comes to place, you will disappear, your family disappear, the world disappear? No, everything will remain as such. Before enlightenment, shop would carry water, the family will remain, the job will remain, things will remain. After enlightenment, shop would carry water, the family will remain, the job will remain, everything will remain. The difference is that the way you see it is what changes. Before you took something as real, as important, as whatever, and now you're looking at the same perception, but now with a shift in mentality. None of this have anything to do with who I am. None of this is mine. There's nothing to protect. There's nothing to defend. You see? I believe there's a teaching, I don't know exactly what is it called, that says, you know, a peaceful mind comes to the one that holds no preference. I believe so. Well, preference will come up anyway, because this is part of the conditioning. I would say that it only peace of mind comes to the one that holds no attachments. You see? So right now, all that there is what is. This is it. This is it. I know the mind is going to fight it. No, this must not be it, because look how I'm feeling and I'm just dealing with all this, and there's suffering and there's pain. No. There's identification with the content of the mind that now translate the experience as either suffering or whatever, because it gives it a meaning. Pain, yeah, I understand. Physical pain can be there, but it cannot be suffered when you know who you are. And if there's physical pain, you'll see how life will move you to do something about it if something can be done. Well, when the suffering is very simple. Suffering is identification with the thoughts. If there's no identification, not believing the thoughts, there's no suffering. There's just experience, whatever that may be. You see? But going back to what we're talking about here, the fact is that you cannot negate that, and that doesn't have to evolve, doesn't have to let go of any ego, because there's no ego, there's no evolving. All that there is what is. This is where all this is pointing to. This is why it's simple. May seem difficult because of the conditioning, you know, the habit of identify with thoughts, the belief that I am this individual and have an identity. But because you realize now the price that is being paid for holding on to an identity, which is what ego would be, now I just want to be. And I got great news for you. You don't have to want to be. You already are. You just forgot about it. And that's what we're remembering. So anyway, so this is what came through. I hope it served. And now the gift that I promised that I will offer you, and is for you to dance the night away.
I'm gonna play some rockin' music if you give me a little love. I want you dancing all together until everybody drops. Forget the worries and the troubles, I want you to have a ball. That's why I'm turning up the volume so you lose yourself in good old rock and roll. Or rock and roll. Or rock and roll. Or rock and roll. I hear some people say I'm crazy, but I really can care less. I let the music do the talking and the hits will do the rest. I feel like there is no tomorrow, and if you receive the call, then take the music up to heaven and you play for them some good old rock and roll. Or rock and roll. Or rock and roll. Or rock and roll. I want to give you all my loving, and with music I can do it best. Pop, pop, pop. So you can take that loving feeling and give it to everybody else. It isn't over, you stay here because you're not going to rest. This song is only the beginning, I will play for you the rest. And if you say you're feeling tired because you are getting old, I'm gonna wake you in a moment with a medicine called good old rock and roll. Old rock and roll. Old rock and roll. Old rock and roll. I want to give you all my loving, and with music I can do it best. So you can take that loving feeling and give it to everybody else. Let's rock and roll. 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 Let's rock and roll.
Well, so I hope you enjoyed the gift and you also enjoyed the topic of today. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.